Good afternoon, everybody. Uneducated Economist here. Thought I'd talk a little bit more about these lending facilities coming from the Federal Reserve. Now, we've talked about pretty much most of them. The only ones we really didn't cover is the commercial paper, the municipal liquidity facility, and the payroll protection program. And to be honest with you, I'm not going to really talk about the payroll protection program only because there's so many changes that happened to this thing since it started taking place and the money started going out there to small businesses. There's so many like rules and changes and everything else that's happening to this that it's really hard to even understand what it is that's going on in that particular lending facility. I mean, it started off that 75% of it had to go to payroll, and then they're knocking that down to 60%. Some of them are pushing for 50% of it. There's a lot of it saying that if it may turn into a grant, it may not. Some of it may. I just got to the point. I was just like, you know what, this particular lending facility does not make any sense to talk about, considering that everything that you may say on it is probably going to change within a week. So I'm just going to leave the payroll protection program alone. I'm not going to even address that one to talk about it. But I do want to talk about the commercial paper lending facility and the municipal liquidity facility. Now, the commercial paper lending facility, if you're not familiar with commercial paper is it's kind of like a corporate bond in a sense, where companies will sell commercial paper to meet their liquidity needs. So just for an example, if they need to make payroll but they don't have enough money to make payroll because they've got a bunch of invoices out there that are coming due that they haven't been paid for yet, they can sell commercial paper, make their payroll. That way, when the invoices do get paid, they have already, they're not run short of cash, so to speak. So a lot of commercial paper, it's very short term. 30 days is pretty common. I think they can go all the way out to 270 days. And instead of being like a bond where they pay an interest rate over time, and then when the bond comes due, you get the face value of the bond. Commercial paper, they'll sell, just for an example, let's say $100 face value, they'll sell it for $97. And then when it comes due, you get your $100 after buying it for $97. And that's the interest that you make off of the commercial paper as an investor. So that's commercial paper, pretty simple. Municipal bonds, this one is a lot like a treasury bond from the government, except that it's from your city or your county. And if they need, money for a project or whatever, they need to borrow money, they'll sell municipal bonds. And it's a pretty common thing for people to be part of as far as an investor goes. Municipal bonds are nothing new. Now, these lending facilities, they have promised to, through a special purpose vehicle, and we've talked about special purpose vehicles in the past. It's like an entity that's separated away from the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve will lend money to the special purpose vehicle, who in turn will be buying municipal bonds or these commercial paper, just to make sure that interest rates don't go skyrocketing on those things. If they don't find an investor to buy these municipal bonds or these commercial papers, they keep raising the interest rates or whatever they need to do in order to acquire the investor to buy it, to finally find the person who's willing to take the risk up and put the money out there. But the Federal Reserve doesn't want to see interest rates rise, doesn't want to see all these markets begin to crash. So what they'll do is they step in with the special purpose vehicle by lending them money, who in turn will buy those commercial papers or those municipal bonds. But as I was reading through all this stuff, I found that they're already kind of funding the commercial paper and municipal bonds through the money market liquidity fund. See, these money markets, a lot of them, these money market funds, they buy commercial paper and municipals. And so the Federal Reserve is just like, hey, don't worry, we're going to supply money to those money market funds, loans to them. And they're going to use commercial paper and municipalities as their collateral for the loan. Well, what gives those things value? Well, no worries, because we're going to lend money to the commercial paper and municipalities to make sure that they stay valuable, so that the money market funds can borrow money from us with collateral that has value because we lent the money. You see what's happened there? It's like the Federal Reserve is lending money to the money market funds so that they can borrow it to buy into the different markets, being municipalities and commercial paper. And the collateral that they're using to get the loan to do that is coming from the Federal Reserve buying into the commercial paper and municipalities. I just found that to be a very interesting little circle of lending taking place right there. Anyway, I'll leave links down in the description for you guys, and just kind of wanted your thoughts on that. Uneducated Economist. You guys let me know.